Caitlin G. We know that high intelligence is not inversely related to participation in cults. In fact, you mentioned in at least one video that high intelligence could make someone more prone to joining for several reasons, which make a lot of sense. What about levels and types of post-secondary education? One would think that having advanced education would make someone less prone to joining a cult. But the number of people I know with post-secondary education who also participate in MLM, multi-level marketing schemes, like Young Living, doTERRA, Yonique, Airbon, etc., and demonstrate some cult-like behaviors is kind of alarming. Especially those who are in fields similar to mine where we have graduate-level training in research methods. For reference, I have a master's degree in speech-language pathology. In your podcast with Clint Haycock, you cited a study which found that fundamentalist evangelical Christians tended to have a lower level of post-secondary education than the general population. Did you find this to be the case in Scientology? What about other cults that you've researched? Okay, great question, Caitlin. Thank you. Statistically speaking, according to the studies and research that I have done, the percentage of people who have any post-secondary education, in other words, graduate studies, et cetera, like you described, are statistically greater. There's a statistically greater percentage chance that they will avoid a destructive cult situation or situations where thought manipulation or thought control is being done. But it is a slight percentage higher. Like it might be college educated, if I remember the numbers right, and this is just, I can't even quote the study here, right? But what I recall is a series of bar graphs and, no education being a fairly high amount and high school education being a lower amount, and then college, kind of similar, maybe a little bit higher than high school, and then postgraduate being like, if college was 32%, then postgrad was like 34 or 36% or something. It was not a huge difference, but enough to be, significant and noteworthy. And I think the reason for this is you mentioned having education and research methods. I think that specifically would help quite a few in seeing through, pseudoscientific claims. But, we're still only talking about, on a broad shoot here, about 1 out of 3 secondary graduate, these students, staying clear. 1 out of 3 of these people staying clear of a cultish situation, which speaks volumes to the fact and proves the point I've always been making, that education or intelligence, no proof against stupid ideas at all. And the reason why, I've talked about this in different videos. In fact, I've done whole public speaking lectures about this. But the underlying reason really comes down to the simplicity that we are emotionally driven creatures. We are animals. We have emotion. That emotion is what drives our thinking process and drives our decision making. We talk about biases. We talk about logical fallacies. These are all symptomatic or different ways of looking at how those emotions can fetter our better senses, our common sense, and can really get in our way. When you want something, when you don't want something, these are emotional things you want, right? The wanting thing is an emotional driver. Figuring something out intellectually as to, what you should or shouldn't do, you can do that objectively. Best way to do that is actually figure it out for somebody else that is not you. And then if you figure it out for them, then apply it back to you, right? Because then a lot of your own self-biases won't get in the way of your objective thinking, right? But even then, how you feel about the person you're doing the work for, it's going to get in the way, right? There's so many biases. There's so many things that get in the way. And if you were raised in a religious upbringing, how your childhood was, your stress levels, how you're, there's so many levels to determining human behavior that it's foolhardy for me or anybody to take it to a single source or a single cause and go, this is the thing that caused this person to not be able to see that they were getting involved in a destructive cult, right? Like intelligence or education level. Neither of those things are proof at all against falling for the emotional appeal of something or someone saying that they're going to help you or help you deal with, help yourself, right? To deal with some problem you're having or some loss you're experiencing or some trauma or stress you've experienced. You want help. And when somebody comes along offering it that sounds somewhat credible, depending on your stress levels and all of that, you're going to take it. And that's how the door gets opened. So, how are we going to avoid that? Okay, stop being stressed. Stop being worried. Stop having problems. In other words, stop being human. It doesn't work at all. So the only remedy is critical thinking every instant of the day. Every major decision you got to make, you wait, you chill, you give yourself time to run the emotional curve, so to speak, right? Or roller coaster of the ups and downs of your emotional involvement with the decision. Because no matter how you feel right now, I guarantee you that if you give it 2 or 3 days, you're gonna feel different about it. Right? And then you might swing back around again, but you're going to have ups and downs on any major decision in your life. You owe it to yourself to give yourself the time to experience that decision from all those different vantage points that the different emotions are giving you so that you can come to a more rational and objective decision about things. So anyway, I didn't mean to go on a whole roll there about all that. I was just answering the question, but that's kind of the best advice I can give on that. And I know that wasn't what was being looked for on the question, but I hope that helps.